Write down the 3 VTS questions. How are you doing? Stress is high? Okay, so what was the first question? Addie, or Julia, what's the first question?
What's going on in this picture?
Okay, great. Then you're going to paraphrase. Somebody's going to say something and you want some more evidence. So let's see. Susie, what's the next question?
What do you see that makes you say that?
Okay, so, and Susie, what does that question do?
It clarifies basically it's asking for evidence.
Right, exactly.
That's based on
Evidential research. Okay. And then there's one more question. What's that third question? Mary.
What more can you find?
What more can you find, Mary? Oh, you Marys. What is that? Oh, you Marys. Pink Mary. What is that question doing?
Help move the discussion along and have them continue to look in a very non-threatening way.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want to think about those 3 questions, and we want to think about the stage 1 viewer and how those 3 questions help support that stage 1 viewer. So let's think back to yesterday, and what are some characteristics of a stage 1 viewer? Yeah, Hildy.
Tending to focus on the narrative and to use their own experiences and feelings to construct that narrative.
Okay, so they bring their own thoughts and ideas to the picture and then try to create a story from that. What other kind of behaviors do they have? Amy?
A listing or identifying of just things that they see.
Okay, the where's Waldo element of things. Okay, so any other things that you noticed about the stage 1 viewer from yesterday? So they're like, oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
Sometimes they stop looking. They make a preliminary list and then stop and say that's it, and then start up again.
Okay.
And sometimes what they see isn't very much compared to what another viewer might see.
Okay, so sometimes there isn't the volume of information that somebody may see if they had looked longer, and then sometimes there's kind of a halting way to the way that they look at things. Okay, so these are people who are really interested in looking at the elements in a picture, and then how can I put these elements together to make some kind of a coherent story in my own mind. You?
We also noticed that some of the narrative is pretty idiosyncratic, and sometimes very much about themselves. And sometimes they even see themselves in the image that it's about themselves.
So kind of repeating what Hildy was saying, that it's really personal. Stage 1 viewers really look at art in a personal kind of a way.
And I was going to say, sometimes they see things that I don't know where they are. I don't know if I can see them. Yeah, it's like really out there.
Really idiosyncratic. Yeah. So they're really bringing their own personality to what's there, and they're really looking at the viewing through their own eyes. And that's a really awesome stage, because they really love to look at things, and they're really enjoying themselves, and they're very personally involved in what's going on. So how do you think, based on Hausen's research, how do these questions help those people? You know, let's take the first one. What's going on in this picture? How is that something to support those kind of people in their viewing? Good?
It suggests that there's a story to be told through the image, so it's encouraging them to create a narrative of what they see.
So I'm allowing it to be open with that question to any kind of interpretation that somebody may make. Were you going to say something, Tanya?
I was going to say that in a similar and slightly different way, that it provides numerous starting points.
So anyone can come into it with these idiosyncratic views and present them to the whole group. Yeah, absolutely. Other ideas, Mary?
Well, it pushes them to go, or encourages them to go beyond the listing to the narrative, which causes them to enter the work more than, remain outside.
Okay. We haven't really mentioned this before, but in really beginning viewers, you say, what do you see? And that really helps them with just listing things. But then there comes a point where you start to see that storytelling. If one of the students does that, then you know that you're ready to say what's going on in this picture, because that does really help them to push that idea of trying to tell story. Yeah, but Tanya?
Also, I think it helps them personalize the experience and feel some connection to what they're looking at as well.
because I haven't put up any barriers between them and the image, so they can
Yes.
enter it, that question? Is that okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so that they can come into it themselves in that sense. So what's going on in this picture? Any other ideas about that? Hannah?
It's very humbling that there's no correlation between age and stage, and that most of us are in stage 1. And that it takes a long time to get out of that.
We all really love to tell stories, and that question is just great for any age, no matter what, and we all really enjoy it. Yeah,
Can I ask a question on this very point that you guys just
Ask
made?
away.
Which is, can you be in a later stage, such as 3 or 4, doing all the stage 3 and 4 things, but in addition, personalizing, because it brings something out in you personally? Is that?
Yeah, you want to address that?
Yeah, it was interesting. I remember Sam and Karen or Abigail talking about stage 1 and seeing a full enriched stage 1 in people who are stage 1 and people who are in stage 5.
Okay, that answers the question.
It's like it's got the seeds of stage 5, like that richness and fullness of your own.
Because it kind of has this movement where you then, the stage 3 we were talking about, the more kind of the art history thing, and then it kind of develops more into like an old friend.
Right, and that is very personal, and it can still raise issues within the viewer, and I can see you being at stage 4 and doing all those stage 4 things and still having a very idiosyncratic reaction to the, I can see both things happening at the same time.
As an
They're not
adult, you
mutually
can you
exclusive.
can hold both together,
Right.
whereas as a child, you're like lost in one.
Right.
You know.
Okay, so that's, the answer is yeah.
Yeah, so when I heard, I think it was Abigail and Karen said that about stage 1, them seeing stage 1 patterns in stage 5, that makes sense. Yeah.
And I think developmentally it makes sense too, that idea we talked about before, that you have a behavior in one stage and then you come with different ways and then the proceeding, but you can still use the strategies that you had before, they're still there. How about the second question? What do you see that makes you say that? How is that supporting the storyteller lister? Nancy?
Well, it makes the person who suggested it look twice to be sure that they were even correct in making that assumption, because sometimes you glance at something and make a statement, and it makes everybody look twice then.
So you're a much more careful viewer if you know that you might be challenged on what you have to say?
What do you,
Okay, all
what do
right.
you see that makes you say that? Yes, then I'm
Okay.
going to have to back it up. It can't just be a flip or a,
Slow down, really
Mhm,
think
right.
about it and be ready. Yeah,
be sure to you can defend it in some way.
absolutely. Amy?
I think especially for a stage 1 viewer, it gives them a chance to kind of explain themselves. And just like working with kids, sometimes they blurt out the first answer really quick, and then you ask them to give that evidence, and they have to kind of they can explain and put their thought together a little bit more.
Great, so I'm giving them some more time to put things together. There was a beautiful thing in the interviews we looked at yesterday where there was the stage 1 without VTS and then the stage 1 with VTS. And just seeing all that, I think because, I noticed because, so that they really had that opportunity to have a richer experience.
Right.
Absolutely. That was those were excellent examples. That was so great, yeah. Suzanne?
Well, I think the second question teaches the viewer to ground their observations in the picture so that they learn by looking and they find evidence in the picture.
So they bring their idiosyncratic ideas to the picture, but now you're saying, what do you see that makes you say that they have to look at the picture for the evidence then for what they're finding? It can't just be out of their own heads, my mother said, so they have to look at the picture and ground it from it. Okay, great.